Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Angel Scrolls Project. I'm your host, the illustrious, the legendary Paul James Caiden, although not so illustrious or legendary, but that's okay. This week on the show, we are continuing with our spooky October theme. For those of you who like a little bit of a scare or something paranormal to contemplate this time of year, I'm right there with you. I look at Halloween a little bit differently. I've talked about those people who think it's the devil's night, and I've argued against that many times in my shows over the years. I don't celebrate Halloween as a spooky holiday. To me, I go more with the All Souls Day, All Saints Day. It's a time of year to remember those who have gone on to the great beyond before us. But since I was a kid, yes, I do have a bit of a flair and interest in ghost stories, scary stories. So do I watch those kind of movies? Absolutely. Do I double down on it this time of year? Admittedly, I do. If that is not a good thing for you, you're welcome to tune out, tune off, turn off the show. You don't have to listen to the spooky October episodes. But what are we going to talk about this week that's kind of spooky and kind of weird? Well, in case you haven't heard, there's a number of people out there who are saying that there are these strange, tormented, monstrous, demonic moans and screams coming from beneath the Euphrates River. And there are many people who say that these are more than likely the fallen angels that are chained beneath the Euphrates River that's spoken about in the book of Revelation. And the time is drawing near when those fallen angels will be released. Because there is the prophecy in the book of Revelation that there are these fallen angels chained beneath the Euphrates River. And in the last days, the pit will be opened and they will be released upon the earth. So there are people out there who are saying these moans, these screams, these demonic tortured sounds are the fallen angels of the book of Revelation, and soon they are going to be released upon the earth and bring hell on earth. I will say right up front that I am a believer in biblical prophecy. Those of you who have listened to my show over the years, those of you who may know anything about me personally know that I am a student of biblical prophecy. I've always believed that there are some things I think our scholars and theologians figured out pretty well, but there are some things that may come to pass a little bit differently than what we're taught in our churches or what we're taught from our religious teachers. So for me, it's always good to have a base to understand biblical prophecy, but also to keep a little bit of an open mind, because you don't want to be one of these religious people that if things start unfolding a little bit differently than we're taught, that you miss the whole boat by doing this thing. Oh, that's from the devil. Oh, that's false. That's not a move of God. And it turns out it actually is, and you miss something really big. So when it comes to spirituality, religion, prophecy, I think we have to have at least a little bit of an open mind and be willing to admit we don't know everything there is to know. We don't know 100% how these things are going to unfold in our future, should they happen in our lifetime. We have to have ears to hear and eyes to see to understand the signs of the times, should they come upon us in our lifetime. Now, one of the interesting things when it comes to biblical prophecy is that it talks about the Euphrates River drying up. And lo and behold, that is happening. The Euphrates River is getting quite low. It's drying up in spots, and they're saying they're discovering these underground caves, things there that they didn't know were there in the past. So I didn't look deeply into this subject of underground caves and caverns beneath the Euphrates that they're finding as it dries up. Certainly that is possible. That's plausible. I have no, off the cuff, I have no reason to disbelieve those things are there. Because, there are things underneath the water, rivers and oceans and lakes that we have no idea that they're there until the water is low, till the water dries up. And then we say, gee, look at these monuments, these things, these caves. We didn't even know all this time that these things existed. So that is very interesting. The Bible tells us that, in the last days, the Euphrates River will dry up, and it is drying up. And there's talk of some very mysterious things beneath the Euphrates River. So to me, that says, yes, we're kind of very likely, very possibly creeping up on those days that many call the last days. And I really think all of us, from my heart, I think we all need to get right with God. I think we need to live our lives rightly. I think we need to be more kind and compassionate and loving and helpful and understanding and accepting of one another. Stop judging, stop browbeating. I disagree with a lot of folks. I don't think what we call salvation is as simple as saying as many say, the magical prayer and you're good to go. I think you have to accept in your heart that God is real, accept in your heart that Christ is who he said he was, and then live a life accordingly, a life that bears spiritual fruit, a life that reflects those beliefs of faith and love and kindness and compassion and all those things. So when I say, we need to get our house in order, get right with God, because those times looks like they may be coming upon us rather quickly. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what religion somebody belongs to, or, rather what denomination they belong to. All of that is going to be found to be nothing but chaff that's swept away in the end. Your religious title and your denomination and the teacher you followed and, all of this kind of nonsense. You said a prayer and suddenly you think you're more special than everybody else, pointing out how everyone else is going to hell. That's not going to cut it. That's not what it's about. So, I think we need to start kind of getting ourselves together and act more like decent, loving, compassionate children of God. But all that being said, I have a tendency to get on a little bit of a side note in my podcast. And what podcaster doesn't? They all do it. Everybody gets on with a subject and they start going down the rabbit holes and the forks in the road. It's as I say, it's one of the pitfalls of podcasting. We all ramble, we all get on a tangent. But is it a pitfall, or is there people out there that need to hear these things? that come to us or that just came to me. That's what I think. When I plug in the mic and I have these conversations, maybe there's something somebody really needs to hear, and whatever comes out of my mouth, directed by God, is meaningful somewhere to someone. But now let's get back to these mysterious screams coming from beneath the Euphrates River. We're going to take a listen to that and get an audio on what is circulating around the internet right now. There's a couple of these videos out there, audio recordings, and most of them sound something like the one you're about to hear, maybe a little bit differently. So let's take a listen first, and then we'll talk about this recording. Is it real? Are people hearing and recording fallen angels underneath the Euphrates River? I guess we'll find out soon enough. Take a listen to the recording. So there you have it, chains rattling and mysterious moans from beneath the Euphrates River. I'm not sure how well that played out on the audio here on my show. Most of these recordings really aren't that great. There's a lot of background noise. It's kind of muffled. So hopefully it came through where you can at least hear somewhat what people are claiming are the moans and screams of fallen angels, and what they're recording coming out of these holes in the ground beneath the Euphrates River. So let's talk about these recordings. I've watched a few of them, and some of them are just what you heard. They're just the recording. Someone standing there where the Euphrates River is dried up, and there's a hole in the riverbed that seems it's going down pretty deep underground, and they're holding a microphone there, and out of this hole is coming the moans and the screams and the clanking of chains. So the audio is really not that great. But there are a couple of the videos where, people are talking while they're recording these sounds coming from beneath the earth, beneath the Euphrates River. I guess I have to say, stating one more time, I am a believer in biblical prophecy. I think anything is possible. I certainly believe in God. I certainly believe in angels. I believe in what we call the supernatural. Anything is possible with God. I think things are going to get very strange on planet Earth before the final curtain falls on this world, or this system that we're living in this world that's made by man. I think if we're alive, it happens in our lifetime, we're going to see some pretty weird things. I think it's definitely going to be the equivalent of a sci-fi or a horror movie come to life on planet Earth, and people are not going to believe what they're seeing, believe what's happening. I think it's going to get pretty strange. So I definitely believe, all of this stuff. I believe in the world of the spirit. But now with these recordings, I have to be honest, I'm very skeptical. Because the videos that I watched, and I tried to find the one, I couldn't find it. where there's a woman recording these sounds. And she's talking very calmly, very matter-of-factly, saying, I always told you there were giants underneath the earth. I told you all, there's giants underneath the earth. And she puts the microphone down by the hole in the riverbed where it's dried up, and you hear the moans and the groans and the growls. And she's like, I told you all, there's giants under the earth. She's very calm about it. So my thing is this. First and foremost, there's two things. Is number one, a number of years ago, there was supposedly these Russian scientists that were drilling a hole in the earth for some reason. I don't remember what it was. And you can go on YouTube and put in a search, Russian scientists drill a hole to hell or something like that. And again, there's moans coming up out of the hole that they drilled in the earth. And they're saying, oh my gosh, we're hearing sounds from hell. And the whole thing turned out to be a hoax. It wasn't real. Now, there's still some people out there who believe it. But it turned out to be, a load of bunk. And I think this is kind of the same kind of thing that's happening. Because first of all, if you were standing there recording these sounds coming up out of the earth, what would you do? Would you A, stand there filming your YouTube video or your TikTok video or whatever video platform you're posting your videos on? Would you stand there very calmly going, oh, see everybody? I told you there were giants under the earth. I told you. There they are. I told you, they're giants under the earth. Or number two, would you be going, holy crap, this is freaking weird. Let me go get somebody to listen to this. Let me get a friend. Let me get a family member. Let me get the police. Let me get somebody from the scientific community. Let me get somebody from the church or the synagogue. Let me get people, bring them back here to listen to this. This is big. If I truly believe that I'm recording fallen angels chained underneath the earth, under the Euphrates River, spoken of in the book of Revelation, am I just going to film it for my podcast? Am I just going to film it for YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or wherever else people put videos? Am I going to just film it, put it up and say, look, everybody, look what I found. I told you there were giants under the earth. I told you there's fallen angels under the Euphrates. Oh, you all better be careful about what's coming on the earth. Or would I be out there saying, man, something I've studied for years, something I believe in, is looking like it has actual tangible proof. The Euphrates River is drying up. There's holes in the riverbed. There's caves underneath. There's moans and screams and chains. Let me get the local newspaper. Let me get the media. Let me get whoever. Let me just get some people out here to verify something weird is going on, and possibly something very big and very important for the whole entirety of the planet. So that's a very big one for me. When it comes to the people filming these videos, why aren't they going out there and making noise? Why aren't they going to the newspapers, to the police, to the church, to the synagogue, to wherever, saying, hey, somebody better come out and listen to this, because this is some weird stuff. No, they're just filming it and slapping it on the internet. So, to me, that's very suspicious. Because for me and other people that I know would get very excited about this, or nervous about this, or confused about this. They would want as many people as they could possibly tell to know, and not just by throwing it up on social media and going, "Oh, look what I filmed. Look what I recorded." That's just not a natural human response. And number two, there are some YouTube channels and social media platforms. There are some people out there that are talking about this kind of thing, but they seem to be more the sensationalist channels and podcasts, or those who believe in the sensationalism. They don't necessarily research it all that well. Somebody will tell them about it. Somebody will share the video with them and they'll go, "Holy cow." And they'll type it in and they'll find more videos, and a little bit of commentary and say, "Oh, well, there you go. This is true. Oh my God." Or there are people who know it's false and they're just throwing it up there because they know this kind of thing is going to get views. They know there's a lot of people interested in this type of thing. So people are going to be drawn to a video talking about a recording of screams and moans and rattling chains underneath the Euphrates River. Hey, look, Book of Revelation's coming to pass right in front of our eyes. It's going to get a lot. It's going to get a lot of people watching, a lot of people listening. But in my research, I did not find a whole lot about this, except that there's some videos out there on YouTube, on TikTok, some of the more sensational type of YouTube channels and podcasts out there talking about this, but not a lot. Not a lot. And I think that's because most people understand that it's a hoax. And there's a lot of people that listen to these recordings and found out, if you listen carefully, one of them seems to be on a loop, where it's a certain noise that it ends and then the whole thing starts over again in the exact same cycle. Some people listened to others and found it was the sound of a monster in, Resident Evil or some such thing. So, people are listening. People are saying, no, this is a loop. No, this is from this movie. This is from this particular show. It's identical. It's not real. So the evidence really seems to point toward this not being real at all. But the sad thing about our society today is that if enough people get a hold of this, if enough of the sensationalists get a hold of this and start talking about it, if enough people start talking about it because they know it'll bring views and it's popular and a lot of people are going to listen, and if the sensationalists say that it's true, then everyone else will start to believe that it's true. Because sadly, we live in a society today where people don't have the conviction of their own beliefs. It will always change based on what the majority believe and what the majority are saying and doing. We see that in politics. We see that in religion. We see a lot of people that have one opinion, but then once enough people around them start having a different opinion, well, then they, adopt that opinion as well. And as I've always said on my shows, when you research these kinds of things, fine, research to find out if it's true, but then research the other side. This is what critical thinking is. Are the screams beneath the Euphrates River a hoax? See what people are saying. See what people found out. Just don't research the side that it's true and then say, I've done my research, because people do that. We saw that a lot and see it a lot with modern day conspiracy theories. People hear something, and if people say it, they believe it. They go and research whatever it is the sky falling? And they'll find 1,000 websites that say the sky is falling. And they'll say, yep, I did my research. You can't tell me any difference. I did my research. Did you do yours? But all they did was research the people who are saying the sky is falling. They never for a minute took a look at the opposite side of the argument, where people said the sky is not falling, and here's some very good reasons why. We can't do one-sided research, because this leaves us with one-sided knowledge. Or in cases like this, one-sided interpretations of events. So please do your own research. Don't give in to the sensationalism. I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction right now and say this thing is likely to get bigger. I've seen these trends grow in the past and predicted that they would get bigger and people would start believing it. And that's what happened. And then people would get mad at me because I said it was going to happen. So go figure that out. But this is one of those things that I'm kind of thinking is going to grow in popularity. More and more people are going to start believing it. And it's not necessarily, a bad thing. I'm not saying, oh, people are stupid. Oh, people, well, anything like that. People want to believe. People want change. People want hope. And even something like the book of Revelation unfolding in our lives, unfolding in our world, people see that as hope, because now God is stepping in. The end of all this craziness and this, broken world is coming to an end. So it brings people hope, and that's understandable, but we don't want a false hope. And hey, who knows? Maybe there will be further research and find out that this is absolutely true. If it is, I'm all for it. Great. I'm one of those people that don't see biblical prophecy in the end times as something negative or scary. I look at it as a time of positive change. It's going to be scary to people that want to hold on to this world and hold on to this system and hold on to the things this current world and society wants to offer them. But to those of us who are looking for positive change, those of us who believe in God and love God and want something better, a better world, well, it's not scary at all. So if it turned out to be true, or turns out to be true, hey, I'm one of those people that is actually very intrigued and has a certain amount of joy in my heart that prophecy is starting to unfold. As the Bible says, look up, your redemption draws nigh, and that's a good thing. But as it stands right now, it certainly seems that this is not true. It's a hoax. People are pulling the wool over our eyes once again. And for Halloween, this is a trick. It is not a treat. So that is where my research has led me, and I would encourage you to do your own research. And if you find anything that's different than what I'm saying here, please do contact me, Paul James Caiden, at nocturnalmagic@gmail.com. My email will be in the podcast description beneath this show. And, show me your research. I'm always interested to learn and to know and find out things that perhaps I overlooked. But as it stands now, the only screams coming from beneath the Euphrates River are the screams of those who are screaming out sensationalism and hoaxes on the internet. Angelic reflection. When it comes to the supernatural and the paranormal, the angels would ask us to always check the facts with our own reason and logic, and then inquire as to whether or not there is sufficient evidence to support the claims of what others are telling us. Faith does not exclude reason and logic. The angels would also counsel us to keep our eyes on God. Human beings may say a lot of things. They may claim a lot of things and tell us that they are true or the truth. But God alone is truth. And when we keep our eyes on Him, we will always be guided rightly. And come what may on planet Earth, we will always feel safe, secure, and peaceful in our own hearts, because we know that we dwell in the secret place of the Most High God. I'm Paul James Caiden. I thank you for listening to this episode of the Angel Scrolls Project. Until next time, walk in love, in light, and with the angels. God bless. Angelic reflection. When it comes to the supernatural and the paranormal, the angels would ask us to always check the facts with our own reason and logic, and then inquire as to whether or not there is sufficient evidence to support the claims of what others are telling us. Faith does not exclude reason and logic. The angels would also counsel us to keep our eyes on God. Human beings may say a lot of things. They may claim a lot of things and tell us that they are true or the truth. But God alone is truth. And when we keep our eyes on Him, we will always be guided rightly. And come what may on planet Earth, we will always feel safe, secure, and peaceful in our own hearts, because we know that we dwell in the secret place of the Most High God. I'm Paul James Caiden. I thank you for listening to this episode of the Angel Scrolls Project. Until next time, walk in love, in light, and with the angels. God bless.